Hi, I'm Jen Schroeder. I'm here with my client, Jen Weisgarver. Before we jump in, Jen, do you want to share with everybody who you are and what you do in the world?
Yeah, I am a mom. Um, that is one of the ways that I got connected with Jen. And I am a family systems specialist. And I am so excited to talk today about how, as a mom, I'm going to get away and spend some time on me in the next upcoming months.
Yay. Yay. Yeah, so those that don't know me, I'm Dr. Jen Schroeder. I'm a clinical psychologist, founder and CEO of InPowered Therapy and Yoga. As a twin mom and a CEO of a mid-sized mental health practice in Chicago, something I think a lot about is the impact of the mental load on moms, especially when we're trying to balance that with a career and like how it can really become crushing. And so Jen agreed to join me today to talk about how it is that she's managing to get away and join on my upcoming retreat for burnt out moms happening in October in Michigan. Um, we both made a full week work away from our families and kids, and we're both doing it again in October. And we wanted to talk about how we did that because I think for both of us, when we first had this notion of maybe I could get away, it seemed a little impossible, but it took some allowing that, like planting that seed and letting it grow and some really creative problem solving, and we were able to do that. So if you're here with us live, drop a hi in the comments so we know you're here. If you're catching the replay, comment replay so we can keep the conversation going. Also, if you feel like sharing, I'm curious what feels hardest about taking time away from your family: time, money, guilt, logistics. Drop that in the chat too. Before we dive in, I want to make sure you know about two opportunities that are coming up at Empowered. One is our free 90-minute retreat for moms here in Chicago at the end of this month. And then there's our 3.5 day glamping retreat, October 10th to the 13th in beautiful Michigan. Both are designed to give moms the space to breathe, rest, reconnect with ourselves. We're going to drop the registration link in the chat so you can learn more about it and grab your spot. Um, and so Jen is here to talk. We're going to deconstruct some myths going into this. And so the first myth that we had to work with within ourselves is that there's not enough time. This mirage of there'll be more time when. And I don't know about you, Jen, but I know for me, the reality I started to bump up against is that there really isn't ever more time, that it feels like there's these little tiny lulls, but then when you're working and have kids and like life just keeps coming at you full blast, like
Yeah.
we have to demand the time or else it's not going to happen. And so I'm curious, does that resonate with you, and how is it that you decided to take the time?
Yeah. Well, I think especially for those of us that are planner kind of people, we are
Mhm.
so good at filling the time. Like, it is just
Mhm.
so natural to us to get it scheduled and scheduled and scheduled. And we're doing it for us, we're doing it for the kids and their social
Mhm.
benefit. But something I know I just talked to you about for the first time this week is that this will be the third time in my child's 10 years, my oldest child's life, that I've been able to get away. And honestly, the first time I did it, it
Mhm.
was for my 10-year wedding anniversary a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
Um, and it was kind of an emergency situation. They were supposed to stay with my parents and they got sick. And
Mm.
my partner and I looked at each other and were like, we deserve this time.
Yeah.
We deserve this time together and to relax. Um, and so, even though it really seemed like like you said, an impossible situation,
Mhm.
I dug into my community. I literally looked through my phone
Mhm.
and thought, who loves me? Who do I love? Who do I
Yeah.
trust? Um, who would be willing to even think about this? And
Mhm.
it probably took 2 days of working at it, and my kids were being taken care of because this was a
Wow.
last minute emergency situation. It was by like 5 different people, and it was
Uh-huh.
all of these like, and they're going to pass off to these people and this and that. um and I had a beautiful weekend with my husband.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, and how did your kids deal with that?
They had the best time of their lives. um, I
Yeah.
specifically remember the one mom that my kids had never stayed with her like overnight or
Mm.
for a long extended period of time, but she was up for it. I was traveling and she's sending me pictures of the like water obstacle course that she set up for the kids in the backyard. And she's like, "Is it
Yeah.
okay if they get wet?" I was like, "Ma'am, you better soak those babies. You go
Yeah.
ahead, like knock it out." And they had a
Yeah.
complete blast. They were overjoyed.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've learned that too, that, like, my kids end up having these kind of adventures. Like,
Mhm.
when I've taken this space for myself, that there are these things that unfold that I couldn't predict, and that, like, the first time I went away, it actually was fairly hard. Like, it was hard on my kids were upset. They were a lot littler, and it was coming out of the pandemic, and, I had expanded my practice in 2020 and was supposed to be getting the keys to my new office space, and then COVID shut everything down. I was supposed to be getting a new au pair who didn't come. And so suddenly I'm in my house with 2-year-old twins and trying to parent and manage all this. And I was going to be taking my first time away for my 40th birthday at that time.
Mm.
And it didn't happen. And so fast forward 2 years, and I had hit this like not okay. Like I was no longer okay. I had been over functioning for too long, and I needed to do something. And so for me, it was I am going to get an Airbnb in Chicago and go stay in it for a weekend by myself. I
Mhm.
needed space to hear my thoughts. And
Yes.
like I didn't even know who I was anymore. Like I honestly I was so burnt out and overwhelmed, and like I wasn't connecting well with my family. I wasn't, but like my kids still, it was this constant like mom, mom, mom. And I knew that wasn't going to stop if I was in the house, that there was no real way for me to get space unless
Mhm.
if I just physically left. And they were upset, but I made I like made these little links that they could open every day. And like they were so upset they wouldn't even talk to me on the phone. It was a little bit heartbreaking, but I don't in
Yeah.
any way regret it because I
Mhm.
came back such a different mom. And I don't know, did you feel that way after your getaway where like you came back feeling like you just had more capacity?
Yeah, I feel like the trip that we went on this summer, that just having the greater knowledge of myself and giving myself permission to have needs and
Mhm.
permission, it wasn't like I automatically had more capacity, which is what I wanted, right? Like we want this
Mhm.
magic
Yeah.
like perfume bubble moment where it's like, and now I'm better.
Uh-huh.
um, that didn't quite happen, but I do think on this trip and taking this time away, I was really able to hone in to my own needs, finding
Mhm.
tools that I couldn't even uncover at home
Mhm.
because I didn't give myself space to look for them and to try different things out, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so I was really able to, once I got home and I felt all of a sudden it starting to ramp back up again, to
Mhm.
say, you know what? I know that I need a cold shower right now,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
love you both. Blessings. I'm going in there. I'm going to take that time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think implementing the tools that I had found is what really
Mhm.
gave me that capacity to not get above my window of tolerance for
Mhm.
the noise and the chaos and the needs and home life with kids.
Yeah.
Um, and the discoveries I couldn't have made without taking time like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like for me, it was similar, right? Like as I finally like my nervous system started to settle a little bit, and I had like I almost had a panic attack on this trip. Like it was like there was so much that I had been shoving down that I didn't even know I was shoving down, right? And
Mhm.
so it like erupted out of me, and I breathed through it, and I like took the space. I got some good sleep, and all of a sudden things started to get clearer. I was like, wait, okay, what are the things that feel the hardest? Where are the moments that I'm getting the most stuck? What are things that maybe could shift? Are there balls I can drop? Are there things I can put down? Are there things like that there it just I could start to unravel this in a way that there just wasn't space for. It was coming at me too fast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I was so disconnected that I needed to have that decompression time. And that's one of the things I thought a lot about as I planned this retreat that I'm so excited you're joining me on is how to help other moms to have that same space to decompress and then start to unpack, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah. So one of the other myths that comes up is that logistics are just too hard. And it sounds like it was like for you when you did this, like there was a lot of logistics. You had to do a lot of creative problem solving. You
Mhm.
had to do something that can be really, really hard for us, which is tap into your community and not just like family, like inner circle community where we feel like, well, they have to maybe or they
There's
owe us. But
yeah.
like people that maybe you've never really asked a favor of before or where this isn't part of your dynamic, and I'm curious how that felt.
Yeah, I mean, even thinking about it, I almost just canceled everything that first time. Like the
Mhm,
mountain that it felt like to
mhm.
I want to say it wasn't even the logistics because that's something I'm pretty good at. It was the asking. It
Yeah,
100% was the
yeah.
asking. And I mean, it kind of feels like I don't know, a bite of humble pie or like I'm
Mhm.
saying I can't take care of my own life. Can you help me? But not a single person that I talked to felt like that. No
Yeah,
one, everyone was like, yeah, it would be great. Toss your kids in with my kids. That sounds wonderful.
yeah.
Um, I did try to make it so that no one person had my kids for an extended period of time, especially that wasn't used to my kids.
Mhm,
So it could feel really easy peasy. And while I do try to help out folks in my community, I think that it really opened the door for
mhm,
that mom. Then the next time she was struggling to go pick up her kid at the end of the day because she was working in the city, her phone
mhm.
call to say, "Hey, would you mind, grabbing my son too?" Absolutely, I would love to do that. And I don't know if she would have reached out to me had we not had that connection um,
Yeah.
that weekend. And I'm so glad. Like, I want that kind
Uh-huh.
of life, right? Like,
Right. I
makes
mean,
it better.
that's something that's so I think about that so much is how this breakdown of community and this breakdown of a larger support, like people used to kids used to be raised in a community of people. You know,
Mhm.
when I was growing up, it was like any adult in my neighborhood would be like, "Hey, knock that off." Like they, like there was this like there were always eyes on the kids and there was more of this communal thing. And I feel like we've stepped away from that. And there is a longing. I've experienced this with my clients and within myself of I think people are craving it, but it is
Yeah.
scary. It takes that first risk of vulnerability, that first
Mhm.
person to be willing to say, "Hey, I'm going to go out on a limb and ask you something." And for me, it always helps to be like, it's okay to say no. It's really,
Mhm.
I love no. Like, I really love a good no.
Yeah.
Please tell me no if you're like hesitating at all. But I'm wondering if 'Cause and I've started doing that just even for, like to free up a couple hours on a Saturday sometimes where it's like, "Oh, one of my twins has a play date. I wonder if I can get somebody to take my other twin so that I
Mhm.
can have both kids out of my house." And then I'll tell them, like, "Any chance you're around and we could have a play date and it could be at your house, and then next time it can be at my house
Yeah.
because my other twin is out of the house and I'd really love a couple hours just to, like, breathe." And
Mhm.
everyone's always like, "Yes, absolutely." And
Mhm.
then they love the idea, and I've had multiple other parents be like, "Yes, oh my gosh, I need to think about doing that." Of like, "Can
Right.
I, like, line up these play dates?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely think that you hit it right on the head with it's the vulnerability that's the
Mhm.
hard part.
Yeah.
The logistics are things that can get figured out, but it's taking that first step and
Mhm.
it opens the door to allow that to let that behavior be the norm in
Mhm.
your community that we can be vulnerable, we can ask things of each other.
Yeah.
It's taking that first step that's the hardest, and once you get past that, you've opened this whole
Mhm.
other beautiful opportunity for your family and those around you.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So Up next, we're going to talk about money, guilt, truth about coming back home. Before we do, I wanted to quickly bring up again that we have this free mini retreat coming up in Chicago on September 27th for moms. It's 90 minutes. It's an opportunity to step away, to come to your breath, to like land in your body, to begin that process of hearing yourself again. And then there's also the glamping retreat, which is a deep reset where we will break down the mental load and spend time with moms who get it and really work through a plan to come back and create a life that has more space for you in it. And I'm so excited that Jen's joining me on this. Make it a girls' weekend if you can. There is still time, I promise, and I promise you will not regret it. It's going to be amazing. So now that I've plugged that again, Jen, I'm curious, money. This is a big one. Like I know for me it is. I'm curious again for you, how does this go? But it can feel hard to spend any chunk of money on myself, like to commit to, hey, I'm going to do this thing and it's a little expensive
Mhm.
or and it's just for me. I think that can feel really tricky compared to like a family vacation or signing my kid up for an activity or some of these other things that we're more willing to spend on. I'm curious, did that come up for you at all with this?
You're so right. I'm laughing. I accidentally signed my youngest son up for a traveling soccer league one
Oh
year.
my God.
I knew it was a soccer team. I didn't realize it was a traveling one.
Oh
He
no.
hated it. The money was completely sunk. Like it was awful. We quit. We quit like silent quitting. I, as the adult, was like, we're just gonna fade into the
Mhm.
night on this one. This one is no redemption.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, you're so right that I heard someone say in a video the other day about what if you took the money that you keep spending on habits and maybe not as healthy tools to cover
Mhm.
up the issues and you spent that time figuring out the roots of your issues?
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
really resonated with me,
Mhm.
um, because I am one who is like, it is very stressful. Let's go plan a family vacation. I love being outdoors,
Mhm.
I love new experiences. And really, what I am saying is, let's
Mhm.
take a bunch of money and do a whole bunch of planning and preparation to take my kids who are really used to routines and who have a lot of things we do around our house to help them
Yeah.
through their day. And let's stress
Mhm.
everybody out.
I am so there with you. This was my spring break. I was like, let's load everybody into the car and drive to the mountains.
Yep.
We're gonna go hiking and it's gonna be great. And I mean, the mountains were beautiful and everybody was so grumpy, including me, because I was so mad at my kids for ruining my vacation. Because
Absolutely.
I wanted to go hiking. I was like, "Oh, well, I'll do so much better if we go," but, like, yeah, driving 8 plus hours to get there and then, like, having it be like, of course, one kid got, like, a cold right before we left, and it was yeah. So I
Mhm.
hear you, like, we plan these things because we want a break, and yet, I don't know about you, but, like, planning a vacation for my family does not actually feel like a break. It's not fun, it's not joyful, it's kind of stressful,
Mhm.
there's a lot of balls spinning in my head, and it gets exhausting, and I've really started to realize just how much that mental load,
Mhm.
that planning and orchestrating is what drags me down. It's
Yeah.
not getting a break from that.
And I think that, we are not saying don't take your families on vacation. We're not saying that.
Mhm,
But what we are saying is, if in this moment you are feeling that mental burnout,
mhm.
just sometimes throwing money at the mouse in Disney World is not going to solve your problems. It's just going to create new ones. So
Oh, yeah.
that's how I think about it is,
Mhm,
over the summer, going away for 9 days, we had to think about how that was going to economically
Yeah.
impact us, especially having to pay for some childcare during that time and all of that. But honestly, with this weekend, I went to talk to my partner about it,
Hmm.
and he didn't even blink. He said, "Okay, if that's what you need right now, then yeah."
Yeah.
So because we had already gone through it and already saw how to make it happen, and
Hmm.
he could, now that I've made it mandatory that I'm
Hmm.
going to have my needs and express my needs and have them
Hmm.
met.
Yeah.
I think I shared with you that, in my family, the matriarchs, like we have the classic Italian, like Nona mentality on this
Hmm.
side. And then on this side, I have a very traditional Southern Nana.
Hmm.
And those women do not have needs. There are not needs. It
Yeah.
is just do, 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 do for your families. And that's
Mhm.
not me.
Yeah.
I am not that person, and I need the time to figure out how do we make sure my cup is full so that I can then pour out for my family. So I can exemplify a little bit
Hmm.
of that I'm very grateful for. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. They are built different. People like that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they are, and yet maybe they're not. I don't know. There's familiarity in that. Like, I think
Mm.
I was raised in a similar kind of traditional, like, environment where my mom did pretty much everything. Or like, where is this familiar to the after Thanksgiving or a holiday that all the men go sit down and all the women are cleaning up?
Yeah.
And often in my house, in my family of origin, there was like, and all of the women are complaining that none of the men are helping or that they get to go sit there, but nobody actually like demands anything to be different.
Hmm.
And so it just like festers.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that was a rude awakening for me, kind of around this time I first went away, where I was like, I was really building resentment towards my spouse
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like so much had defaulted to me. He didn't know how to take care of kids. He was like kind of a reluctant father to begin with. And then we ended up with two of them. And so, like, it was like, and so there was this resentment growing, and I was reminded, like, oh my gosh, that's right. When I feel resentment, that's because I haven't set a boundary. Like, resentment is
Mm-hmm.
a warning to me that I haven't set and held a boundary. And so I'm feeling kind of behind it, and I can make changes to that. That like I have to kind of own the ways I have participated in letting that happen.
Mhm. I am like having flashbacks to the mini retreat I did at Empowered
Uh-huh.
Therapy's yoga studio that you led. And so I'm not a clinical psychologist, Jen. And sometimes it's hard for me to point out those things for myself to know, gosh, this is coming up for me and this is why. And
Mhm.
I really think that some of the work that you do that is helping with the reframe of taking the feeling and putting a name to it. And then just the conversation that we got to have that day with the other moms in the room to know that a lot of what we're going through is really common and we have similar thoughts and even the things that might be different experiences, some of these tools can be the same, like setting
Mhm.
boundaries and stuff like that. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate your expertise on that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I think this stuff is so important. Like, so much functions in the background, right? Like, we often there's so many layers of things that we just take on from our families, from society, from all these things, and we don't notice how much that even is
Mhm.
until we stop and start to notice it, right? Like, it
Mhm.
just becomes the background. We don't know it's functioning there, and we can function that way for a long time until we can't anymore.
Mhm.
And I think that that's what's so important, like, and I know one of the things I talk a lot about and that we talked about at that, and we're gonna talk about at the retreat coming up, is the idea of the mental load and,
Mhm.
this system of fair play, if anybody's heard of it. It's a really powerful system of deconstructing all of that invisible labor that women, often women, end up disproportionately doing in our households, even when we have a partner that cares to participate fully, that cares to fully engage in and believes in equality, but they
Mhm.
often there is this privilege or this like not seeing that
Mhm.
happens. And so things default, and then we get exhausted and we build resentment, and it's hard to explain it. And there's all of this stuff.
I really find that some of my labor is invisible even to me.
Yeah.
And I will end up something I was just so grateful for when I came back from the longer trip this summer is I came home and there were some glaring things to me that I thought, oh, apparently I am the one who sweeps the floors. And apparently
Hmm.
I am the one who cleans the bathroom after these young, messy boys. Um, and I
Hmm.
didn't really realize that because I do a lot of those things on autopilot. And my partner does the laundry. My partner does the dishes. He takes care of most of the
Hmm.
meals in this
Yeah.
house. And so I sometimes look at myself and go, oh gosh, what do I do around here? Like, how am I contributing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the fair play method and going through some of those, having someone have already laid out some of these more silent things that we do, like
Hmm.
moving gross food that has spoiled out of the fridge.
Hmm.
You don't notice it when it's being done consistently, but after a week, you do. You sure do.
Hmm. Yeah. Or even just like the emotional tracking of our children's needs.
Oh,
And
mhm.
I know we talk some about having kids who have a little neurospiciness, and like the requirement of being able to anticipate and be prepared, and kind of make sure that we're tracking, have you eaten, have you slept, like all of these things that when they're not happening, or they end up really dysregulated at times, and then you're dealing with a meltdown, and that's its own thing. And I know for me, that's one of the things that initially felt kind of scary of stepping away, is I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, like my husband does not track these things. He does
Mhm.
not notice these things. I know that I'm going to come back to kids who have had a meltdown, kids who have gotten overtired, kids who have not eaten a vegetable in days. And I was like, but I think for me, it helped that I just had to. I knew I had to. Like deep in my nervous system, I was like, something has to change, and
Mhm.
no one's gonna die.
Yeah. And maybe, if one of the myths is no one can handle my kids but me, maybe it's that you're not allowing other people to handle your kids or
Right.
for
Yeah.
them to begin to, like, I know you really young ones, it's really tough. But,
Mhm.
my kids are 7 and 10. They can start to
Mhm.
handle themselves a little bit. We went out today. My oldest had a long appointment that we had to go to. The kid
Mhm.
packed some goldfish because he thought he might get snacky.
Oh, I love it. That
you
that
know?
makes me so it gives me hope.
All right.
At 7, we're still not there, but I love the idea. And I have noticed similarly though that when I step back and like my kids will rise to an occasion when I'm not there that
Mhm.
they will not rise to when I am there. Like that when I'm there, they want that nurturing. They want me to do these things, and that they actually feel empowered when they get the opportunity to learn that they can do it now, that they can
Mhm.
do things for themselves.
Yeah, and yeah, how empowering is that, and how much more reinforcement will that have, neuropathically,
Mhm.
to say, "Wow, I did that all on my own." I'm a huge advocate of outdoor education and sometimes like some unschooling kind of
Mhm.
education. And so much of that research just shows letting kids mitigate a little bit of risk on their own really helps them to pull those same experiences up the next time instead of
Mhm.
someone else telling them and someone else telling them. That real learning that they can keep.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
wish I had the statistic, but you end up internalizing it and learning it it's something around, you can do it 6 times on your own versus like 60
Hmm.
assisted. And maybe one day I'll look up the real statistic for the internet's purposes, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
significant. It's significant.
I mean, that makes sense to me. Like it does. It makes a lot of sense of that real learning, that real I mean, our daughter the other day made her way home from my son's school on her own. There was like miscommunication between my husband, and it's a block away, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she's
you're right there.
7, like she was fine. She came home, she opened the lockbox, let herself in. Like it was like, where is everybody? Why is nobody home?
Yeah, she probably
And
felt so cool. She's like, yeah, I'm good. I've got
it
this.
was a little scary for everybody involved, but she also afterwards, she felt so proud,
Yep.
and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things we all get to learn when we step back, right? Like
Hmm.
once I got through my own guilt, I mean, that first time when they wouldn't even talk to me on FaceTime because it was too hard for them to see me, like it
Hmm.
stirred up too much. And they're like, nope, I'm just going to ignore you at the moment because I can't deal with
Can't
your
do it.
absence.
Hmm.
They were like, 3.5 maybe at the time, like, and so they were littles.
Yeah.
But it's progressively gotten easier. Like the once
Hmm.
I did it once, and I don't know, did you find this for yours as well? That I think you said it earlier that you have.
Hmm.
Once you've done it, like everybody starts to adjust. It starts to like really shift the patterns and the dynamics, and everyone learns like, oh, maybe we can function without mom here.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm. And something that I said to my oldest son, because he did ask, like, why are you leaving? Why do you have to go for such a long time with my trip this
mhm,
summer? And I said, we know who mom is. Mom is here every day. We know
mhm,
who daddy's wife is. You see her every day. We know who the housekeeper is. She's here pretty often. But we don't know who Jen is. Sometimes
mhm.
I don't even know who Jen is. And
Yeah.
I want you to know her. Oh, it makes me kind of tear. Like I like her. I
Yeah.
remember liking her.
She's really awesome.
It's pretty cool, guys.
She's really cool. Yeah.
Her to you. And he said, yeah, you're right. That sounds right.
Yeah. What
And
a powerful lesson for our kids to learn too, right? Like, I think often there is I think one of the things that feels the hardest sometimes is like this where they don't see you as a person. You're just supposed to be
yes.
this like feelingless object that they can dump all of their crap on, and then
Yep.
it's like gonna soothe them the
Mhm.
next moment.
Yep. Comfort object. That's exactly what I was gonna
And
say.
I'm like, I can't like there's only so long that you can do that, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a point when it's really developmentally appropriate for them to learn that we're people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like and yeah.
And to develop, I specifically have 2 boys, and
Mhm.
so to teach them that the women in their lives are going to be full, independent
Yeah,
people. It does not service
totally.
them to continue this, martyr matriarch role,
Mhm.
because that is what
Yeah.
they're going to grow up to know, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna have that.
Yeah. I mean, I have boy girl twins. I feel the same way. I'm like, what am I modeling for them? What
Mhm.
are we modeling for them? And I try to talk to him about this of like, this is hard. Like society has changed.
Mhm.
There's ways that both mom and dad are trying to grow and continue to shift things to make the world a more equal and better place. And sometimes that's really hard. Like
Mhm.
sometimes it requires a lot of seeing the invisible, of pulling up these like beliefs or expectations that we have.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and unpacking them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so like that's the next myth we were going to get to is it's selfish to leave. And I think we just addressed that in a lot of what we were already talking about, which it's not like it's selfish to not leave in some ways. Like I think continuing the patterns that allow it like sometimes I one of the things I work a lot with moms who are in this, and a very common part that we can have is a part of us that worries, what if we're not needed? Like
Mm.
being needed feels safe. It feels like I have a place.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yet that often becomes challenging in its own right over time, right? Like the job of our kids is to eventually learn to separate, to need us less and less and less. And what often happens in couples I see is like by the time that happens, we let it go and go and go. By the time the kids push away or start to try to push away, the family system really struggles. Like all of a sudden, the parents don't have a relationship with each other anymore. The mom, often the mom doesn't know who she is
Who they are.
anymore at all, or what they would like as a hobby. Like, and they feel like they're doing this identity work all over again. And like stepping back, the sooner we learn to step back and hold space for ourselves, the easier those really like healthy and necessary developmental transitions become.
Yeah. It's going back to that's another way to mask the symptoms, right? Like, I don't
Mhm,
have to deal with my identity if
mhm,
I just continue to pour into my children. I don't have to address it. And I've literally said that before. In one of my job performance reviews, I'll say, don't ask me that question. I don't know. I'm the person who just continues to show up. I don't want to know who I am. It is too
mhm.
confusing at this moment. But it's
Yeah.
just pushing the ball down the road and having to go chase it again. It's going to come
Mhm.
back at you at some point.
Right.
Um, and I also think, we talk a lot about these feminist systems, but there's also some other systems like capitalism that it's important to show the kids
Mhm,
too that it doesn't matter like what system we're in, knowing who you are, what you stand for, if there's going to be any sort of group that is telling you
mhm,
who you're going to be, you need to be able to stand up and have a lens to say, is that my value? Do I actually
mhm.
value what you're saying to me? And if I don't, then I need to find another group or system to be a part of. Like, this is not the
Right,
one that I want.
right.
So, yeah, I think that I absolutely have felt shame
Mhm,
around having needs that are outside of taking care of my family. And I made a
mhm,
decision. It was right around last year, November. So we're coming up on almost a year now of me doing this work, of
mhm,
saying, I the reasons why I cannot control my nervous system, the reasons why I reach a place every so often of completely being at the end of my rope is because we are not taking care of the foundation of me. And
mhm,
that's not fair to anybody. So,
mhm,
to your point, it is selfish for me to continue to get to the point where I'm yelling at my children over
mhm,
ridiculous things that
mhm.
if I was feeling grounded, I would not be doing. That's
Right,
selfish to not try to work on that if I have the tools to do
right.
so, right?
If it's possible, yeah, and I think it's hard. I think it often does take planting the seed and letting it simmer. Like, this wasn't a thing that happened overnight for me or for you, it sounds like. Like, there has been this, like, the very first act of resistance, I guess I'll say, that I engaged in. What it feels so silly, but I know I'm not alone in it. I started locking the door when I took a shower. And putting on a podcast or music loud enough that I could not hear the screaming on the other side of the door,
Uh,
and being like, he's gonna have to deal with it. Everybody's gonna have to deal with it. I'm taking 15 minutes
mhm.
to take a shower.
Yeah.
And that allowed me a little bit more space. And then that little bit more space, I took it, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, maybe I could have a little bit more space here." And it continued to grow and to kind of snowball to the point that, like, I was like, maybe I could go away
Mhm.
for a weekend. Like, and it's that extricating ourselves slowly from being the default, the go-to, um
Mhm.
the hey, where, I mean, at first, even when I would try to go, I would go out for a night, and I know, I'm sure there are other moms who resonate with this. You're getting text messages like, "Oh, hey, where's this or where's that?" And do they like, and it's like, I am out. I am out.
Not home. Please leave a message.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like, from the family systems hat,
Mhm.
so sure, you start to extricate yourself from these daily rhythms that absolutely other
Mhm.
people, including the children, can take on their own responsibilities, can learn a little bit more about coping. And then for
Mhm.
me, and this was actually my husband's idea, but it's been going great. We've been having Weisgarver Wednesdays
Mhm.
in which we all get together and we agree on an activity, and that is our time. That is quality time. It is not, Mom, can you go grab this from the other room, even though I'm perfectly capable of grabbing it and just don't want to. It's taking a walk, it is
Mhm.
playing a board game, it is watching a show we all want to watch together. And that
Mhm.
has felt so good for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you can start to like level this playing field a little bit. Like put in the work here and then take the time that you need.
Mhm. Right. Well, and that time allows you to start that work of knowing who you are again and what you need, right? We can't be really asking ourselves those questions and hear, like, we can't hear ourselves when we're drinking from the fire hose of
It's like that.
of like everything. Like
Ah,
like
yeah.
there are days, and it still happens. There are days I feel like I literally don't stop. Like my feet hit the ground at 6 a.m. and I don't stop until my kids are asleep at 8. And then I am like a zombie version of myself and stay up a little bit later than I would like to because a part of me wants that quiet and that free time. But then that time is not well used. And so these are the cycles that we get to deconstruct and work on. Yeah. So and let's see. The next myth that we were going to talk about is no one can do it like I do.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, what do you say to that?
Well, I am really good at stuff, Jen. That's the problem. No.
I'm
um, I think that I absolutely have systems for things
Mhm.
that this first trip that I went on, I put together, it was like a 5 or 6 page little portfolio that went in their backpacks and went with them, that had everything anybody would need to, a stranger off the street could take my child and would know what their needs were and who their people were and all of that.
Mhm.
And my friends that did take care of them, they're like, this was very nice. I appreciated reading it. And also, you didn't have to go through all that time, to
Mhm.
do that. And so I think I did have to take a second to assess, sure, this is the way that I do it, but it doesn't mean that this is the only way you can do it. The kids can
Mhm.
come up with their own ways of doing something. My partner, has said, oh, you take the kids on these little trips and I don't do that.
Mhm.
And sometimes that makes me feel like, oh, I don't get that kind of time with them. But then I can reflect back to him, you do all of these other things that I wouldn't want to do. Like, I'm not taking them
Mhm.
to an arcade. I'm not going
Mhm.
to take them willingly, like mini golfing, although I have found that I kind of like that now, but it would not have been my idea.
Mhm.
So someone else's ideas of how to care for the kids, even if that's staying up until 11 and, eating junk
Mhm.
food all night, I bet they're going to have a great time doing that. I bet they're going to
Yeah.
love that. And that's going to be such a fun treat. And they'll get back to normalcy once I am home for a while or once their dad is able to get them or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
it will be fine.
Yeah. Or it'll be a little bit of a shit show. And I know in
Oh,
my house but the beauty of what I learned is that sometimes I need to step out of the way and let it be a shit show and
mhm.
let that natural learning for everybody happen because I realized I would accidentally step into the role of running interference and like putting
Mm,
myself in the middle of the relation, like I would end up telling my husband what to do or like reminding him
mhm,
and warning him and all of these things. And like we were talking about with the kids earlier, I realized that as I did that, what it did is it made me feel like a nag, which I
mhm,
hated.
mhm,
And it kept him from having to learn from experience the ways that I had learned from experience of like, do not let my son get hungry. Like he will turn into a three-headed gremlin. Like
warning.
it is not okay. Like it
Mhm,
becomes an irrational
mhm,
mess. And he had to learn that on his own though. Me
mhm,
saying like, what, you haven't fed them a snack yet, and now I'm walking into the tantrum and trying to fix the tantrum. No, this tantrum is your tantrum. You didn't feed them the snack. You fix the tantrum.
mhm.
Like, I am gonna be over here, like, because the tantrum was so hard on my nervous system though, I have to leave. Like, I
Yes,
can't be in the room listening to it because
yes.
it drives my anxiety. And so then I would want to like fix. And I
Mhm,
had to break that cycle. And now my husband and my kids are developing a relationship that is theirs and that doesn't
mhm,
have me in the middle of it.
mhm.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, getting back into things, yes, it can be a little hairy at first.
Yeah.
For I think for both of us, we said literally we came back from this week of being away, and our curly-haired kids were like, no one has brushed you. You have not been brushed in a bit, in a bit.
Yep.
And it takes some work and some finesse, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, if that's the worst thing that happens, a dirty shower and a hairy kid and people that
Mhm.
need bedtimes reset, I think
Yeah.
it's still worth it. And honestly, for me, was like a second step. Like learning some new tools for myself that I could make work
Mhm.
on my own was the first step. And then re entering was the second step. Okay, how do I use this with kids? How do I teach the kids the verbiage of like what you're saying? In my family, we use the verbiage, my body's having an emergency.
I like that.
So,
Yeah.
like, I can't be here anymore because my body's having an emergency. So, I'm going to go into my room and I'm going to
Mhm.
do what I need to do. And if I know
Mhm.
specifically what I'm going to do, I'll tell them that as well. I'm not taking a nap. Don't be afraid that my lights are off. When my body's having an emergency, I really like it being dark and quiet.
Mhm.
So I'm going to put on
Mhm.
my noise canceling headphones and I'm going to lay in the dark room for 5-10 minutes and I will come
Mhm.
get you when I am ready.
Mhm.
And that's kind of phase two of implementing. Again, I'm going back to like
Yeah.
the systems brain, but it's implementing what you've
Mhm.
learned in this time that you took for yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I find like is reentry perfect? No.
Mhm.
Like the times I've done it, like reentry is absolutely not perfect. The house can be a mess sometimes. Like there are these things,
Mhm.
but I find that it smooths itself out. Like it takes, it's like maybe a week and a half,
Mhm.
and over time, like all the little things start to kind of get brought back to some level of baseline, and
Yeah.
that I've had more space. Like I have more space for it. I have more space to like I have more energy to, instead of just doing it myself, like
Mhm.
go through the extra labor of teaching my kids to do it and getting them to participate, even
Yeah.
though they're gonna like be mad about it and like
Yeah.
resist and not want, like, but
Yeah.
that's what needs to happen. Like when I'm exhausted, I fall into just doing too much for everybody because I
Mhm.
don't want to deal with people.
Yeah, yeah. I, during the pandemic, read The Explosive Child, and I think it's by
Mhm.
Dr. Green.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And something that really stood out to me was you can only really focus on one behavior at a time. You
Mhm.
cannot fix everything that needs to be fixed all at once. And so to get that energy, it's like gearing up to clean out a closet or gearing up to
Mhm.
do, a big organizational, large bandwidth activity. You've got to gear up to teach your
Mhm.
kids how to. I mean, for mine, we learned the dishwasher this past year. And they
Hmm.
still fuss about every day. It's like, well, do you eat every day? Then there are dishes every
Hmm.
day. That's how it
Exactly.
goes. But you do have to have a certain amount of bandwidth to start and then stay consistent with that
Hmm.
work. The consistency, even if it's not like daily consistency, but if it's a circular, cyclical kind of consistency,
Hmm.
you're still going to get it done. It's still going to work
Hmm.
out, but you do have to like get that big oomph at the beginning to be able to
Yeah.
get going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is easier to have if you're not depleted,
Yeah.
right? Like, and once you can see the whole picture, like for me, that was such an important part. I know the first time I was engaging any of the fair play stuff, like sitting down and writing out the conceptualization, planning, and execution for all the things, I was like, whoa. Like, no wonder I'm tired. Like, and then what I feel like the system's missing is values work, which is one of the things I'm bringing into the retreat too, is this like deep
Mm,
values work, as well as like just being replenished so you can hear what your values are. Um, but
yeah.
the like, okay, what is what best matches my values, right? Like how worth it is X, Y, or Z? What am I doing that maybe I don't need to do, or that I don't need to do to this degree, or that we could say no to? So for me, one of the first things I did was like, I was like, oh, this was back in like pre-K when every birthday party that every kid in every classroom had, like, and I had two kids in pre-K. And so we had birthday parties every weekend. And I was like, no, you get 2 each. You can pick your 2 best friends, and we will go to those birthday parties, and because I realize I hate the nervous system thing of children's birthday parties, I'm like, my husband, who doesn't mind it, can take
Yeah.
them to the birthday parties, and
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna stay home
Yeah.
because I hate that. Like, I hate
Yeah.
being at these, like, loud indoor play places that yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things that I didn't even think about passing on to my partner. I didn't even think about it. And I think the first time I ever did was because one of my friends was in town
Mhm.
and my son had a birthday party to go to. And so I said, can you take him so I can stay with our guests? And he said, yeah, no problem.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, you're so right. After I did that, I was like, why haven't you just been doing this? Because I also strongly dislike the loudness of the birthday
Right?
parties and the kids all over the place. And I was like, we could
Mhm.
absolutely have been sharing this the whole time.
Yeah.
But I just don't
Yeah.
stop to think about things like that. I don't.
Yeah. And I think that's the importance of stopping. Like, we
Mhm.
have to drop the ball. Like, one of the things I like to say is, like,
Mm,
just tell people you're gonna drop the ball and then drop it.
mm,
Like, and because no, like, it needs a vacuum. No one is ever gonna raise their hand and say, "You know what? I want more to do," when you're raising kids. Like, no one. It really is like, this demanding of it, I've realized. Like, that's what had to happen in my household was I had to say, "I'm gonna drop this ball. Like, I have to stop. Like, I can't." And
mm,
leave a little bit of a vacuum. Like, and the vacuum can be uncomfortable, but that's
mhm,
where stuff changes. It's like, really, you're not gonna, but you, okay, okay. Like, eventually, that starts to get uncomfortable, and it invites somebody to do something different.
yeah, somebody to do something about it.
Hmm.
And I didn't even realize that a big skill that is a total game changer for folks that have kids maybe under 5. Like, I promise you, this is coming and it's incredible. But I remember my partner was away on a work trip and I got very sick and it was Christmas break. So my kids were home and
Hmm.
I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed.
Oh God.
And he's saying, "Oh gosh, do I need to come home? Like, do I need to leave?" And I was
Hmm.
like, "You know what? Give me the day. Let's see if we could just struggle through it. Let's see how it goes." My kids made all of their meals and they made me meals.
Oh my goodness, that's so sweet.
They were gross meals. I was like, a
Oh.
banana and burnt bread. Thank you. But they were, there was something else in there too that it was like dry, like carrot sticks that had been too long in the fridge or something. And I was like,
Mhm.
so dry.
Oh, it
Um,
sounds they hit the food groups though. I'm so
they hit the food
impressed.
groups. That was exactly why they did it. That was exactly why they did it.
I love it.
I think like pepperoni or something was the fourth
Uh-huh.
thing on this plate. So, number one, I learned that they do know their food groups. Absolutely. Number
Mhm.
two, they did not die. They were
No.
alive. We did this for almost 3 days. I think
Mhm.
I did not really leave my room. Did they play 3 days of video games? They did. They did do
Mhm.
that. And that is not something that we normally do in my house.
Yep.
They thought it was amazing and they loved it. And now I have living proof that they can feed themselves and feed others if
Mhm.
necessary. So
Amazing.
I think, yeah, the ball dropped and they were like, oh, okay, I'll grab that. They didn't even care. It was fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh my gosh. So Jen, I could talk to you all day, but I'm realizing that we have to start winding down.
Yeah.
And so just for everybody listening, whether now or later, if you're starting to feel curious about this question of like, could I maybe create some space for myself, but still have some nagging doubts? Drop us a note in the comments or connect with us through the website at empoweredtherapy.com. These fears are normal. Although there might be a kernel of truth in a lot of the fears, often there's a lot that can shift when we give ourselves space to consider what's possible. The kernels of truth are often not quite as detrimental as we fear they are, as Jen was just wonderfully saying. That they played video games for 3 days and nobody died.
Nobody
In
died.
fact, they will remember that very fondly. And sometimes it's okay for them to have that bare minimum of parenting, and
Mhm.
that if especially if that means what they get the rest of the time is a higher level, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm curious, Jen, if there's one thing that you would like moms who are just starting this journey where you were a year ago,
Mm.
to take away, what is it that you would say? Like your little nugget of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah. That it is always going to feel like you should wait. It's always going to feel like
Mhm.
until they're a little bit older, until I have a little bit more figured out, until we have a little bit more money, it's always going to feel like that. And at the end of the day, you just
Mhm.
need to look the scary identity monster in the eye and say, I give
Yeah.
myself permission to have needs. I give
Yeah.
myself permission to refuel and be the best person, mother, spouse, friend that my
Mhm.
community and home um, can love and grow with. And nobody else is going to do the work for you, and it's going to look
Mhm.
messy. Um, but you're the one that has to decide it and has to decide that the time is now. So go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think let's see what mine would be. I feel like the thing that really is coming up for me right now is this idea that we can't give from an empty cup. Like in my household, because I do so much, because there is so much that's been focused on me, when I'm not okay, nobody's okay, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I notice the difference massively, that when I am okay and I am grounded and rested and doing well, everything simmers down. And but sometimes that means I gotta let stuff get messier so that I can take care of so I can fill my cup, because if my cup's empty, I can't be good to anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so final recap before we sign off. Free mini retreat, September 27th, InPowered Yoga, Chicago. There's still space left. I'd love for you to join us. It's a little tiny taste of what you can have in the larger retreat. October 10th through the 13th, over Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day, is the bigger retreat in Michigan. Michigan in October is gorgeous. The fall colors, the cool air. The tents have little cozy heaters and super comfortable beds. and you're going to sleep.
Mhm.
You're going to get lots and lots of time to sleep. And I love taking care of other women. I love taking care of moms because they say thank you sometimes. It's really great. Um, they're like, whoa, wow. Like when I get to cover people in blankets at the little 90-minute, they're like, oh, I'm like, it's so fun to tuck in moms. I don't know. So join us, check it out on the website, ask questions if you've got them. I promise it'll be an amazing time. And that Marissa and I really know how to guide people down this path. We are both moms with big careers. We know it, we live it, we've done it. Jen is on the path. It's definitely possible. So thanks everyone who watched this, and I hope to hear from people. Thank you, Jen, too, for taking time out of your busy mom life and having this fun chat with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you. It's always a
Yeah.
great time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.